Hi, everyone, and happy World Poetry Day. I'm really sorry that this year we didn't get to have one of our poetry meetings in order to do it. Even a couple of weekends ago, we were planning kind of some Pi Day festivities. I didn't come because I wasn't feeling too good. So I would like to still do that presentation at some point. But I thought today I'd kind of give some ideas of poetry. I'd like to take a moment also to thank everybody who's said such kind words on my earlier videos for this. Please share, like, subscribe, and also, if I'm going to keep doing this, let me know what you want to hear from me. What do you want me to kind of talk about in the future? What questions do you have for me? And I'll see if I can make one of these, I guess now, daily videos about that topic for you. Some of you may know this, but one of my strange academic, maybe guilty pleasures is messing around with literary criticism and talking about poetry. Sadly, I think there's this big idea that there has to be kind of this division in that scientists are somehow never supposed to engage or enjoy the humanities and vice versa. Yet, working in digital games and in board game work, it's a very multidisciplinary field. And even when I used to work in bioinformatics, again, it's a very interdisciplinary field because you're always dealing with kind of like the rational versus the emotional in terms of any sort of work when you're talking about like human factors in games or what makes a good narrative. There's kind of what's available as methodology and actions within the game or what's the mechanics, and then there's also kind of what's the narrative storyline that's being pressed along. And so you kind of dabble in both of these areas. This idea that you could only kind of work in one field is rather arbitrary, and it's really more of an artifact of the industrialization in which they basically thought that there was this kind of, division of labor meant also a division of thinking labor. Whereas if you look at a lot of the historically what we would call great scientists, if you look at Da Vinci, what you see there is really a combination of both artist and mechanic and philosopher and researcher and. So that's really kind of more of that division of the fields kind of led to that division between science and technology. And there's a lot of beautiful artwork that was made existent because there wasn't this division. So pataphysics was kind of a joke that was put together mostly by the name of Alfred Jarry. And so his idea there was actually to kind of, poke fun at science by using pieces of science in places that science could not be used. So what you see is a lot of explanations of certain things using scientific techniques, but they're really kind of a pseudoscience. And how they even phrase pataphysics is this idea of it's a physics beyond physics. I think everybody's maybe seen that picture of the pipe and the idea of underneath it says in French, this is not a pipe. Well, that's kind of like a play on what is the pipe, right? Is it a pipe, the object, or is it a picture of a pipe? And there's this kind of disconnect. Well, you can kind of see the same in a lot of these pataphysical methods in that they're taking these types of scientific methods and then they're applying them or mathematical methods, and then they're applying them to something where they just don't fit. But it ends up doing some sort of strange computations upon language. You can see this in the work of B.P. Nicol, in which he's using combinatorial derangements inside of his work. There was a whole French group known as Oulipo, and they did a lot of work on using chess moves inside of language. And most recently, you can see this inside of the work of Christian Book, in which he's using structures of various biological entities in order to mess around with language. There's also some works of his in which he's using cellular automata in Conway's Game of Life. So if you're interested in seeing a combination between both the humanities and sciences in kind of an interesting and creative way, take a look at some of these pataphysical authors. Also, a big shout out to everybody who is right now under self-isolation back in Canada. You know, I'm across the waves. Everybody is safe here. We're perfectly fine. So don't worry too much about me. You guys worry about yourselves. And wash your hands. Thank you.